You might think right now that it's the apocalypse or end of the world. Like, why would anyone else drive a car or truck like this with a 50 cal mounted on it? Listen, it's not the end of the world. I'm just having a little bit of fun. But there's a lot of people worried about this recession. They're like, oh my gosh, what should I do? Like, is now a good time to quit my job? Should I start a business? Should I lean in and do my job if I'm one of the 87% that hate what I do for a living? Check it out. Today we're gonna talk about this recession. We're gonna talk about how long it's gonna last. We're gonna talk about whether it's smart to be quitting a job right now, or if there might be a silver lining on a hidden opportunity of how you should be leveraging and not wasting this recession to improve your life.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Each recession is different, right? I mean, think about the Great Recession of 2008. That was a real estate market exploding, and everyone thought this is the worst of times. Within 5 years of that recession, I helped my investors make over $100 million in, guess what? Real estate. So things aren't always what they seem. And with this recession, there's a lot of people wondering how they should play it. What should they be concerned with? On the one hand, we realize that we just went into the Great Resignation, right? People were basically trading up for better and better jobs. We are now moving into the mass firing where we are laying off people like crazy. And so it creates a lot of stress. It creates a lot of uncertainty. Recessions do that. And people want to know, like, should I hunker down and keep my job whether I like it or not? Is now the right time to look for a better job? Is now the right time to get into the game of entrepreneurship? If it's a recession, is that a dumb decision altogether? Today we're going to explore all these things, and my hope in the next few minutes is that you emerge with confidence on the smartest way to leverage this recession. Why are we having this conversation today? Well, statistically, 84% of all Americans will go into retirement with less than $100,000. And by the way, these are 401kers, IRAers, house payer offerers. And yet, guess what? After 30 or 40 years of working your butt off, earning a single income, things don't financially turn out the way that they want. Check these stats out. This comes right from the economic data from Fred on minimum wages. While the median household income in the US in 2019 was $68,703,000, the real median personal income in the US in 2019 was actually $35,977 a year. These numbers make it difficult to live off of and almost nearly impossible to save for retirement. In other words, your average millionaire has this many streams of income. But the majority of people, they think that they don't have to get financially smart. They'll just do what all the other lemmings do, driving them over the cliff. And what do they get? A single source of income, meaning that they're just trying to figure out, how do I go from one source to the next source when you should be collecting multiple sources of income? Looks like Forbes is pandering to the new definition of a recession, where basically the Biden administration is saying, we're not in a recession. This inflation, it's not really that big of a deal, even though we've historically defined it as 2 quarters where GDPs fall. No, this is something less serious because we've got midterms coming up and we got to look good.
Looking good, Billy Ray!
Feeling good, Lewis!
It's political, folks. Check it out. This comes right from Forbes about the oncoming recession. Leading investment bank TD Securities recently said there is more than a 50% chance of a US recession within the next 18 months. We're actually in a recession. Several reliable economic indicators such as inflation, rising interest rates are warning signs that the US economy could be rolling over, and I'm just arguing that that's happened. Actually, statistically, the board that runs this will wait 1 year until after the indicators have hit before they'll actually rule and call it a recession. I know because in October 2008, I was there when interest rates jumped up to 16.5% on an investment property, and then a week later that bank was out of business. But it took a whole year before they said, guess what? We're in a recession. Duh. So there are some things that you can do about this, and I'm about to share with you, I think, one of the most intelligent options that you should pursue. But before I do, one more bit on stats, because if you take a look at the largest companies in the world, FANG, things like Netflix, you see that they're laying off collectively hundreds of thousands of people in software development, same things happening. These mass layoffs, this comes right from Crunchbase News, is being affected by a lot of people. As of late July, more than 32,000 workers in the US tech sector alone have been laid off in the mass job cuts. As tech companies trim their headcount, workers in every sector are searching for stability before a bigger storm hits. In other words, if you have a job right now, be grateful for it and figure out how to make sure that you're a top performer and that you're hanging on to it, because there's not a lot of security out there in the marketplace. It's like in one of my other videos where I'm talking about this recession is being likened to like a bullwhip.
Sweet, it's a whip.
Right, there's a tiny little snap of what the consumer is trying to order and get, but by the time it comes to the wholesaler and the manufacturer, they're needing to order massive bulk, and there's basically a supply-demand mismatch. And what it's doing is it's creating some massive issues. So on the one hand, you check in 6 months ago and it's like higher, 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 higher. Guess what's happening right now? Fire, 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 fire.
You're fired.
Chief, the planetarium party.
Oh, right, you're on fire.
What this really means is that the job security we all really want, just like in any recession, it's not there. People should be worried. But putting your head in the sand like an ostrich and doing nothing, waiting for the tiger to come along and take a bite out of the meaty portion, that's not the right strategy. I was one heck of a weird 21-year-old who got my hands on this kind of information that I'm sharing with you in today's video. And listen, I'm not trying to freak you out, but before I share with you, I think what the solution for your life could be, I need you to get clear with something. Sometimes it takes a recession before we realize there's a really big problem that needs to be fixed. And the really big problem is that the system is reliable only for living relatively from check to check. And so the problem is, how do you really set meaningful money aside for a future? How do you even set money aside to invest and grow some type of financial future if we're constantly strapped living in fear and scarcity and doubt? And now we've got the fear mongering in the media back bigger than ever before. It's like the pandemic wasn't enough. And once again, we have people being controlled by fear. Just put your head down, keep your job, put your money in a 401k, put your money in an IRA, wake up, do the math, smell the coffee. Got news for you. At the end of the day, it's not going to add up to what you want. The sooner you do the math and realize that saving $10,000 or $12,000, $15,000 a year over a lifetime, what's that going to give you? 2 or 3 years worth of living, as in you understand that you're going to hit your max income at age 55, just shy of $100,000. So if you only put even a couple $100,000 aside and it lasts for a couple years, modern medicine's going to keep you alive for 3+ more decades. That's the problem that we're not really working on, which is why use this opportunity to realize that right now you should be quitting your job, if there's a way to do it, to get into a better, more lucrative, safer and secure financial situation, multiple streams of income, or keep your job and actually learn how to save more aggressively and invest the difference so that your money finally starts working for you instead of you working for it. You want to hear something real crazy? Did you know that the majority of all millionaires believe that they can manifest the destiny they want? But your typical average everyday non-millionaire, only half of them believe that they can even impact their own financial future the way they want. I got news for you. It's your job to create your future, and it's your job to create your stability. You can't blame the government, you can't blame the news, you can't blame your boss, you can't blame your neighbor, you can't blame your spouse, you can't blame your kids, you can't blame your ex. At some point, you got to take the finger and point at yourself and realize, I have the power. It's like He-Man, right? I grew up in that decade. I have the power! Dude, that guy was like such a wimp when he was Adam, Prince of Eternia, but when he would raise his sword in the air and pronounce those words, he became like this freaking superhuman freak in nature. And that starts with you and I literally figuring out that it's up to us to create the future that we want. Check it out. Owning your own business is a smart way to take control of your own financial future. If starting from scratch sounds scary, there's a lot of ways of doing businesses where you don't start from scratch. For example, franchises. They're a proven business model that often generates a 50% or even over 100% or 200% annual ROI. So even if you don't have cash sitting in 401ks, you even have options like SBA loans. The government will actually kick in and help make this possible. You could even tap into equity in your home. There's different ways to fund an entry-level franchise, which has the power to replace your job income and potentially make a lot more money. Psst, Kris, do you know how much risk there is with owning your own business? Check it out. Is it a whole lot less risk than you doing something that you know will never work? Listen, there are so many games to play out there. I became financially free at the age of 26 from the game of real estate investing. Then I went on to owning all these different businesses, and today I do a combination of both of them. You only have so much time, right? Like we have a finite amount of time, but there's a reason why Elon Musk or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, they know how to multiply their time and make it far more valuable. What they're doing is they're creating multiple streams of income where money is working for them, even though they're passively not putting in time. When they actively pursue something, they got to make sure that it's super worthwhile. They've got both happening. In my world, I own hundreds of businesses. How on earth am I owning hundreds of businesses without being the busiest person alive? I'm telling you, I'm not busy. I got balance in my life. And I achieve that because there's rules of success. And one of those is find ways to make money that are backed by proven systems. It can't eliminate all the risk, but what it can do is it can set you on a path where you can discover a new method of bringing some of this into your life. And by the way, if it works on one unit once, then you can do it on 2 units and then 3 and 4. I literally know people that buy a franchise, they put some money into it, they get it making, call it $50,000 a year or $300,000 a year, and you know what they do next? They go start 10 more of those exact same franchises because you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. You have to find something that works, and then you get leverage by multiplying it. In other words, you got to find a way to scale your success. Not only are franchises lucrative, but they're also scalable. You could never work 5 full-time jobs, but you can own 5 franchises, and each one becomes easier than the next. Once you have 3 to 4 franchises, you can hire a manager to free up your time. This is what successful people do. We find a model that works, and then we do it again and again and again. Like, you know that I love single-family real estate. I've now done it almost 7,000 times. Why on earth would I do that? Well, first of all, because it works. Second of all, it's not brain damage. I have a team that does it for me. Very little bit of my time, and the team is following the system. Well, I do this in business as well. Franchise, this is just a shortcut for someone that says, hey, I want to skip the learning curve. And they realize, listen, it costs some money to get in the game. Most of the time, getting into a franchise can cost $50,000 to $100,000. So you might need to partner with someone, team up with mom and dad, have a buddy that wants to go in on it, and get creative, right? Like, this money can come from a 401k or an IRA or equity in your home. And there are risks. You just have to weigh out the difference and the upside and the potential. Most people are living in a job where at best they can get a 3, 5, 6% raise every single year, which means that your time that is like literally going through the sands of time, drifting away and being gone, never recoverable, they're getting lost every single day. At some point, you have to make the decision to be smarter with your resources, allocate them differently. For you, that could be getting into a franchise. It could even be buying a piece of property. Whatever it is, you got to move from a single source of income to multiple sources. And by the way, it's hard getting that second one going. But guess what? They say that the first million is the hardest to make, and they're right. 10 million after the first million, way easier. And 100 million after that, significantly easier. Why? Because all you're doing is duplicating what works. Make no mistake, we have a storm front heading our way right now. And you can either weather that storm or you can literally thrive through it and be dancing in the rain. Check it out. Depending on how fast you acquire your first few businesses, you can acquire millions of dollars in a 3, 4, 5, 6 year period of time. Like, it's my personal experience that when someone finally hits it big and makes it successful, it wasn't a 30-year game. It was, we stopped doing what didn't work and we shifted things, and then we created success in a matter of years. That's really how I experience it happening most of the time. Whether saving against a recession or preparing for retirement, quitting your job can be a more responsible decision than waiting for an opportunity to find you. And I have to throw this out there. I don't think you should quit your job that is producing income that are covering your expenses. I do think that you can look for certain types of franchises that have absentee owner potential status, which means, wait a second, maybe I can keep my job for a while I get this thing going. Maybe I can keep my job for a while so that I can make sure I have the money coming in, keep me out of fear and scarcity zone, start multiplying my wealth, and then if it succeeds, then I can spin up a second and a third and fourth, and at some point, guess what you're gonna have to do to optimize your game? You're gonna have to quit that job. So do it responsibly. So listen, the game of franchise might be what you're looking for, could be something different. Make sure first and foremost you're a subscriber, because every day I'm dropping videos, gold nuggets on different ways to awaken that financial genius within. Beyond that, franchise might be something you want to look at right now, and there's a link below. I've partnered with the most amazing company that is representing a dozen of the coolest, hippest, and hottest, financially most successful and stable franchises out there today. My business partner, Dan Olson, has done this for over 30 years, and he's helped grow and scale some of the largest companies that are out there. Very recognizable names. So click the link, learn more about it, partner with someone, get in the game, get yourself educated, and if it's right, pursue it, and it may be the means to someday quitting that job responsibly, bringing more wealth into your life, being able to hit those goals and dreams, do things with your family that are super important to you, and ultimately that's what I wish for you. Click the link, learn more. By the way, if you've bought real estate in the last couple of years, you're probably sitting on a hidden asset that you're not aware of. You have home equity. And did you know that you can go to the bank and for free set up a credit card tied to that equity? It's called a home equity line of credit, and you can use that to fund a business, fund more real estate like I did to become financially free. Whatever you do, don't spend it. Don't just go buy a truck or something crazy or a boat or a family vacation. Get that money working for you, and that might be the perfect opportunity. Now, if you want to learn how to do it, I made a video for you about this amazing hidden asset. You can click right here, watch it. Let me show you how it works. Only to do that for 40 years, likely experience a lot of misery and a lot of this whole great game of just, I just want to start over.